All right, everyone, we're going to get started. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I know that there were a lot of folk who either were in class and couldn't make it or who were able to get out to join us. So, for those of you who weren't able to make it, we actually are going to be recording this so you can revisit it or take a look at it for the first time and hopefully get some of your questions answered. So, today, the main purpose of the call is for you all to get to meet the Panama team over the webinar, and we're lucky enough to have Mr. Alan Gula, who's going to introduce them, and we're going to go through a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation, giving you a feel for some of the names and faces that you're going to encounter while down there, and also some of the programs and projects that you're going to be working on. So I'm actually going to turn it over to Alan. Hey, Alan, you there?
Good evening, everybody. How's it going, Cole?
It's going fantastic, Alan. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. No, we're excited here. Our office is excited to have the internship and even more excited to kind of go over today. So if there's any part of this that you can't hear or any participants, feel free to just use the chat bar and let Cole know, and we can repeat anything. Or like you said, Cole's going to be recording this, so at the end we can send out a review of what was talked about, the slides, and some of the information. But either way, just welcome to the call, and everybody here in Panama is excited to get going on the internship. Cool. So, Cole, thank you for DJing this presentation. The first introduction I wanted to make was Ariana Calderon is going to be our summer internship coordinator. She's currently an advisor for environmental brigades, and she's also on this call. So, Cole, do you mind unmuting Ariana so she can do an introduction, kind of a presentation?
All right, Ariana, you should be unmuted.
Hi everyone. Again, my name is Ariana. Oh, awesome. Okay, again, hi everyone. My name is Ariana. I have been with GB for quite a while now. I did 3 business brigades as a UCLA student, and I now currently work with environmental brigades as the advisor. And I'll be with you guys this summer as the coordinator for sustainable development internship. Should I get into environmental brigades or? Okay.
Right on. So we've got Ariana that's here. That's a great resource, mainly because she's been a student that's on the brigade, and she's also been a staff member here, heading up our environmental brigades program. And the other staff member I wanted to introduce couldn't be with us this evening, or maybe joining later. He's returning back from a site visit. His name is Oscar Valencia. Oscar has his experience mainly working here in Panama, but also in Peru in South America. He just finished a 1-year contract where Global Brigades kind of loaned Oscar's expertise in programming and community projects out to a nonprofit that goes by the acronym WAVES. And so, Cole, I see that Oscar is on the attendee list. Did you want to unmute him or see if he could speak a moment to do an introduction? Oscar, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I made it. Hello, everybody. I'm Oscar Valencia. I'm going to be working on the global health aspect of the summer internship. And well, I think Alan already made the introduction of my background. I'm just very excited to have all you guys down here, and we're preparing everything for you guys and making sure that you guys are going to have the best experience.
Right on. And we can kick it back to Oscar, too, for any questions when we get towards medical brigades. But he's run a lot of them. He knows all of our community members really well. And he's going to be your point of contact when you're in country for all of the global health internships. So, again, Ariana is in charge of the sustainable development, and Oscar and team will be working for the global health internship. And then, Cole, the next slide, there's some other staff members that will be around and will be helping out on certain days. And so if you go to the third slide, we kind of have some other corollary staff members that will be here for support. Dr. Fautini and Dr. Ramon, the first 2 staff members, are actually, they're Panamanian doctors, and they're the heads of medical brigades. So if anybody is interested in that aspect of what the internship is bringing, again, Ariana, Oscar, and myself are going to be arranging this internship, but it's impossible to do without this staff that you see here. So people that are with Global Health, Dr. Fautini is a Panamanian doctor, and then Dr. Ramon is a physician that is also from Panama. And so you have ample time to spend with Panamanian physicians. And then we have our sustainable development team on slide 4. And these are everybody from Frank Lopez, who is our environmental brigade's lead, to DDL, and then also Elio, who are our technicians. And these are the staff members that work to make the brigades happen. And these are your points of contact if you're going to be on the sustainable development team and talking to them about environmental issues. In slide 5, moves on to the business brigades team. Business brigades is a large part of all the work that we do here in Panama and in the other countries. Business brigades is mainly focused on creating rural community development funds that do in service micro lends to community members who are involved with the cooperative here in Panama. So John and Stephanie are going to be present on the Sustainable Development Internship. And these are the staff members that you're going to be talking to about specifically what happens in our cooperatives. How do they save money? How do they loan money? And what does that mean, or what implications do those have for the other brigades? That's a huge underlying theme for this internship, is that we're going to be looking at kind of how do the programs support one another, and how does that give ourselves as a nonprofit and you as an intern the understanding that all of these programs are holistic and they are supporting communities to achieve different things. Each one of us really does have a different talent to give towards a larger idea. And so if you had to think of the staff, these are absolutely your guides or your people that you can go to for answers or questions, everything from international development, but also to the logistics, specifically, what are we doing tomorrow? When are we leaving? Do I need a towel? Do I need to bring certain things? We're going to basically go over that today, but also while you're in country, please take full advantage of the staff members that have been working here for many years, many months, each with a different background, each with a different perspective on international development. And we're hoping that, in the month that you're going to get with everybody, you'll know them very closely by the end. But this is the team that's going to specifically be looking after business brigades. Cole, feel free to go on to the next slide. Awesome. And so a lot of you may have heard that we had a law brigades team. We've changed the name in the past couple of months to be human rights brigades. And so that's led by a lawyer, Renee Rodriguez, and the advisor, Whitney Howell, who will also be here during the month of July supporting you in the internship. That's an integral part of the internship also, when we're going to be doing, basically the itinerary is going to have us going each week a different focus of global brigades to understand kind of holistic development from our organization's perspective in Panama. And so far the human rights team is really excited to get really their point on week 3. Week 3 is going to be the opportunity to talk to Renee and to Whitney. And again, their backgrounds are, Renee is a lawyer, Whitney is a Penn State graduate, who's interested in, I believe, attending a master's degree or even law school. And so the two of them have run about 6 brigades between January and April now. And so they've got a lot of experience into the human rights issues that we're going to be getting into over the internship. So that is far from our team. Just to kind of move on to the next slide, that is not our team at all. Those are just a couple of snapshots of people. I mean, when we asked if we, were able to define who we're going to be working with, those are the people that will be assisting you throughout the internship. But by and large, Global Brigades has, seasonal staff members that help with coordinating, driving, logistics, cooking, and those people are just as an integral part of this 1 month experience. But for the sake of simplicity, you will meet them when you come down here, and for now, Oscar is the man that you're looking for if it's going to be questions on global health, and Ariana is going to be in charge of the Sustainable Development Internship, and those will be your lead coordinators for the entire month's brigade internship. And their job is to really mobilize the rest of our staff members to appear during the weeks in which they're going to be presenting on different topics. And so we'll get more into that when we go over the itinerary. And, really the first part until now. And Cole, if at any time you've got questions that are urgent, please just cut us off. Are there any questions till now? All right, then we'll get into the immersion process of what is the summer internship. So the summer internship is understanding this international NGO, is understanding global brigades and the work that we do in a perspective that yields a result. And so I want each intern to keep in mind that you are going to be responsible for creating a deliverable throughout this experience. The deliverable needs to be threefold, or a three-pronged deliverable. It needs to be one that benefits you ultimately as a participant. It needs to be one that benefits Global Brigades as a nonprofit. And depending on your point of view, the most important third deliverable is that it needs to be something that benefits our community members. And so as we get into the immersion process, as we get into what we're talking about when we say Panamanian culture or Spanish immersion, I do want to make sure that everybody is fully aware from the get-go of the three things that need to be benefited by your presence in Panama. And again, that is first and foremost you as a participant. This nonprofit needs to receive something from you, either in a final report or a final presentation format at the end of the 4-week internship. And then ultimately that needs to support the work that we do in the communities. So again, keep that in mind. These are the things that you're going to be working on. When we mention international nonprofit, that's Global Brigades. Panamanian culture is something that is very diverse and something that's hard to explain, particularly because of the diversity that's within this country. And so a lot of parts of Latin America have a few different ethnicities and they speak different languages. And I think Panama is a great example of a giant melting pot that came together specifically at the turn of the 20th century, mainly because of the construction of the Panama Canal. You had the influence of many different people coming to Panama to get involved either as laborers or getting involved with the Panama Canal because they thought it was an opportunity for work. But a lot of those cultures are even predated by the community members that we work with in Global Brigades. So we have Emberá, Guna, Wonan, and a whole bunch of other ethnic minorities that live around in Panama, about 7 or 8, actually, depending on how you count their borders or their participation in, I guess, Panamanian elections. We've got a lot of different ethnic diversity that we're going to be learning about. And so I'd say that's a huge drawing point, is that in Panama, the brigades work with indigenous communities from all different parts of Panama, mainly the Emberá, the Wunan, and Guna. And so when you work with Ariana, you work with Oscar, and you're going to talk about the different projects, you have to keep in mind that, you know, who you're working for. And Global Brigades always sees that answer in 2 different ways. I would say the first are the community members, and second are students. So we've got 2 constituencies or stakeholders that have an interest in the projects that we do, and learning that lesson from our staff here is going to be an important part of your project. The third point there is just Spanish. So you're going to spend a lot of time, and if this is something that interests you, or if this is something that kind of freaks you out, don't worry about it. We're accepting all levels of Spanish. You do not need to be proficient. You do not need to pass a test. You don't need to, really show this nonprofit that you have a certain level of Spanish. But what we are looking for is that everybody that is signing up for this internship at least be interested to a couple hours of Spanish education each week in a Spanish immersion process that's taught by our staff here. And again, we can aim it and tailor it towards either medical Spanish or business Spanish, or Spanish that makes sense for you in your career. But I don't want you to feel like this is something that should either disqualify you from participating or something that you're nervous about. I just need, if you don't have a level of Spanish background, what we're interested in having you do is come here with an open mind and do what you can to prepare. And so those that do have a high proficient level in Spanish will be looking to you to facilitate a lot of the conversations when you go to the community, and then also to be leaders for those participants that do not have the same Spanish background. So what we can do is form study groups in pairs so that everybody that wants to study Spanish is going to get the opportunity to understand Spanish in kind of a grammatical sense, but also in the sense that they want for their own internship. So if you want to go over medical terms, or if you want to get better at medical Spanish or business Spanish, or even Spanish that would benefit you as a lawyer, I mean, that definitely falls under sustainable development. And a lot of our staff members are bilingual and very prepared to assist you in the Spanish immersion process. Cole, go ahead and go to the next slide. Awesome. So the interactive workshops, the research, and the project proposals, again, they all stem from the main understanding and thesis that I'm hoping everybody gets from this presentation. Global Brigades is running this internship for any number of participants in Panama from July 6th to August 4th. And you as the participants will be separated into 2 groups. You'll be separated into sustainable development and global health. The interactive workshops will be respective of each genre of intern. So we're going to have interactive workshops that are medical related, and we're going to have the interactive workshops that are sustainable development related. The research aspect has to be on the participant. So if you're coming down here with a particular background, research, fascination, thesis, advisor kind of management that you have to do with somebody back on campus, or a senior honors thesis, you absolutely must make it known to our staff, to Cole, and to everybody else that's been assisting you in this process, because we want to support you in that. We want to make sure that everybody here feels that they're getting the opportunities that they need, and that we're able to kind of have a basic itinerary and have each member attend the various aspects of this summer internship, but then also to know that the individual portions of research need to be expressed. And so if you're a student and you're fascinated by women's participation in microfinance, please don't let that go unknown. Please make sure that you grab time with Oscar and that you're going to talk to Ariana if you have anything that you specifically want to make sure that you have time to interview or to get more access to a staff member in Panama that specializes in what you're interested in learning. And so I definitely want to make sure that that's something that we understand as a class of interns is going to be twofold. Gola Brigades is responsible for mainly providing the logistics and making sure that the research elements are able to be found. If that's something that you need a staff member or you need to concentrate on your community interactions, we're going to be the ones that provide that experience. We're going to give you either an intern kind of interpreter or maybe a Spanish-speaking intern with the same interest, and we're going to be the coordinators. We'll be the ones that kind of make that opportunity happen. But the intern needs to be the one that crosses the threshold, that feels comfortable actually having those conversations, approaching a staff member that has access to the data that they're looking for. And again, we'll call those people around. We'll make sure that we have different staff members that either have data informatics research. And so if you're somebody that wants to go through kind of our medical clinic background and see exactly what's been happening, then you're going to get a look at the data informatics. But ultimately, I don't want anybody to rely on Gola Brigades to make this happen. If you're going to leave this country after 1 month and you didn't ask the questions that you want to ask, each intern needs to fully accept the responsibility that when you come down here, there's an itinerary, there's something that we're going to be doing each day. It's going to involve interactive workshop. It's going to involve elements of research. You're going to get to go over your project proposal with the staff members. But please do not take that as Gola Brigades is going to give you something you need to research. Please see this as an opportunity for you to be the catalyzer, for you to be the leader, and for you to be the researcher. And again, if you're studying something on campus, if there's something that you need to get credit for, if there's some amount of interviews that you have to get done or anything that you want to get out of this internship in Panama, please, again, you've got to make it known to the staff and we will support you with that. That's kind of our goals as a nonprofit, is to make sure that we take you through the experience of the summer internship, but that we're aware of the things that you want to see as a researcher and as an intern. And so that third point there, is going to be the project proposal. That project proposal should be done within the first 7 to 10 days of the internship, which is why Cole has done a great job of kind of pre-departure going over all of this stuff. The internship, in my opinion, and this is how a lot of us feel in Panama, starts now. Once you've begun accepted, once you've begun looking at all of the elements that you have to do for fundraising, in my opinion, this internship starts as soon as you have the ability to know that this is where you are going to be from July 6th to August 4th. So it's everything. It's reading the books that you want to read so you're a more informed Panamanian historian. It's having the conversations with either groups on campus or professors. It's talking to people when they donate to you, you being comfortable saying exactly what you're coming down to Panama to do this summer, and that if you have any questions or you're interested in reading more or watching a documentary, that Cole is the guy to go to, or our staff here in Panama will be more than willing to support that process. But again, the internship begins once you've begun accepted, and I know that's a balance with school, jobs, work, and I know that's a lot of stuff going on in your lives. But each week, if you can set aside an activity that will be, in my opinion, a preparatory act that gets you ready for July, that's something that we're looking for, because Ariana and Oscar are going to hit the ground running once you arrive here in Panama. And these are the things that you have to keep in mind. That we're going to be having workshops about the different brigades and about international development. Again, that could mean a guest speaker. That could have somebody that's an expert in another area. either with microfinance or environment, to come down and speak on behalf of their nonprofit. We're confirming all of that now. We're kind of lining up guest speakers that make sense to what our interns want to get out of this summer. But there definitely is a level of research, and a project proposal, again, is that thing, that thesis, the summer internship idea that you have to create a deliverable. It can be a report, a study, a diagram, as involved or as lengthy writing-wise or as visual as a mural. But what I'm looking for here is each intern come up with a project proposal. And the third point there, and again, not to be repetitious, but sometimes that's what sticks, is it needs to be a deliverable for you as the participant, Gold Brigades as the nonprofit, and our communities as constituents of the work that we do. Okay, Cole, feel comfortable if you go into the next slide? Cool. So again, everybody wants to know your impact. That's what donors are going to be asking. That's what you should yourself be questioning when you're down here and prior to leaving. What is the impact that I'm going to have, and how is this different from a brigade? Well, specifically what we're talking about is this difference is also a bit of an understanding. And so when we say you're joining the team, you're going to be here for a month. And the way in which we expect you to carry yourselves and conduct yourselves while you're down here as an intern, I would definitely say is a little bit different from the way in which you behave during a 7 to 10 day brigade. And so join the team does not mean that you're going to have to, you're going to have to be the ones that drive yourselves to the community or have, really be on your own. That's not what we're implying when we say join the team. The logistics will be taken care of, and Oscar and Ariana are specialists in making things happen, specifically getting our communities prepared and getting our staff members prepared to work with you. Join the team for me is a threshold, at least academically, in how you behave towards staff members and towards community members, keeping in mind those three-pronged deliverables, that you're going to find something that makes sense for this nonprofit, this community, and for yourself. And all the while, you need to join the team with how you approach it. You need to be working with our staff members rather than being staff members that are, complaining, or somebody that's, nagging on staff members to figure something out. Be an active participant. Be a catalyst for figuring out why community development is so hard, or why do certain community members not show up for meetings after they said they would. I mean, this is what joining the team means to us. And a lot of staff members were former brigaders, and that maturation needs to happen very quickly. You're going to go from somebody that looks to go to brigades as somebody that's arranging something in a particular experience. But join the team for us is a shift in mindset. It's a shift in culture. You're going to join our team, and you're going to be people that are interested in giving feedback and having dialogue and working with our leaders to understand the problems that we have. So join the team is also part 2, implement. You're going to be implementing your own personal thesis and your own dialogue as a student and as a researcher and as an intern. But also the implementation could mean that we're going to be looking at doing some different things from our programming. And so that at times may look like it's going to be shifting, and change happens a lot, specifically with nonprofits. And so rather than being somebody that's maybe a passive participant, we're looking for active participation. That's implementation and joining the team. You're going to be somebody that questions in a very productive way, in a way that doesn't, isn't antagonizing our communities and our staff for different implementing things. Why are we doing the projects this way? Is environmental brigades always going to be planting those projects as a part of permaculture? Does medical brigades ever have these concerns? Exactly. These are the types of things that we're talking about. And the exciting part is part 3 for public health brigades, for our medical brigades program, for human rights brigades, business brigades, and environmental brigades. These programs are never finished. They're a constant evolution. They're in constant shift. And so in a little bit, Ariana and Oscar are going to give updates to where we are in our programs. But those are just updates and snapshots for where we are in April. Between now and July, we're going to be implementing a new thing, a lot of new, either communities to work in or implementing new projects for some of our developmental brigades. And so if you're going to be here in July, we also wanted to make it known that we would be having new initiatives specifically to public health, and the environmental brigades team is always open to hearing new ideas. If anybody has an agricultural background or has a knack for farming, that's kind of what we're looking for, is that you bring this team, you bring these ideas, these new initiatives to our team members because you are a part of the team. And so, Cole, that next slide is just a medical brigades logo, and then the one after that, This is just kind of a reminder we were going to talk about medical brigades. Cole, what is the one after that? Can you scroll down and show us that one too, please? Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure that that one was next. So we've got Oscar. If you're still on the line, the only part that I wanted all of the interns to hear from you is basically an update from medical brigades. It could be from a programmatic standpoint, but really just looking at the brigades that you were on in March. Can you just give us an update on kind of medical brigades as a program? And then after that, Oscar, that would be an awesome introduction. I wanted to say a few words about how that ties into our internship.
Sure thing. Well, actually, Medical Brigade is a very evolutionary program, as all the programs that we have here, and it is in constant change, as Alan has been expressing. Basically, we have enforced really the data collection that we get to improve very much kind of the knowledge that we have from these communities and the illness that we find in these communities. What are the patterns that people are following? What are the patterns that we are seeing during the brigades? What are the major needs and what are the major diseases that are affecting these communities? This is something that really have been implemented since this past year. Because this is pretty, well, not a new region at this point, but this is a region that we have been working for now 2 years. We're very much in a research kind of introduction stage a year ago with medical brigades, basically just opening up new communities, showing the positive energy that Global Brigades and volunteers are bringing in here. Most of these communities are not really that, were not really that receptive to this whole idea. Most of them haven't even seen foreign people come in and actually be active participants in their communities. Most of them didn't even trust that we were going to stay there for long. But now that we already overcome all those obstacles, we're more in depth into what is going on within the community and how we can tackle those programs. One of the major things and the biggest change that has come to is that obviously we have been noticing most of the patterns that comes from water and the public health aspects. And that's why our public health program connected to the medical dental program is working now in 3 of our communities, actually implementing medical brigades and own public health brigades to come down and work together in one brigade and hybrid brigade with these 2 programs. Other than that, we have our data informatics system up and running, so we can actually get full statistics. It's an easier way to project what we're seeing on brigades and how we're tackling these programs how we're tackling these problems during brigades. And that's it to wrap up. Most of the people in the communities right now are actually being very active participants. We identified people in the community to be part of the medical brigade team, and right now we have a couple of people who are working in our education stations that are getting more and more and more involved. So this is a practice that we are continuing on, and one of the biggest advantages that we have to really implement an impact from the community with the community through the knowledge and the materials that the students bring down. Anything else
Right
you'd
on.
like to add?
Oscar, I think that's a fabulous introduction. And for everybody that's going to be down here in the Global Health Internship, Oscar's done a great job mentioning a lot of different parts that go into the medical brigade, stemming from history to community mobilization, towards the research and evaluation that we as a organization have been going through. And he's been a very large part of that. And he will be even more involved in the future, specifically to the research part. And so if you're going to be coming down the Global Health Internship, specifically any questions that you have that are around community mobilizing or tropical medicine or the things that we see, we're going to be able to give Oscar and the health team, everyone, a copy of kind of our data informatics. And that's kind of, if you don't have a background with Global Brigades, that's what Oscar was referencing, is that we take computerized records during the brigades, and we're going to be able to have at least a research bank of trends that go over what's been happening on the brigades for the past couple of months. And so that's going to be what Global Brigades is providing you for research data, and then you're also going to be able to look at that and be able to tease out information and do some data mining if that's something that interests you. So Oscar, fabulous job. The next slide is a cue for Ariana Calderon and the Sustainable Development Team from a perspective and an update of what's going on in environmental brigades. Ariana?
Hi everyone. So for the sustainable development side, I'm going to first go into environmental, which is of course closest to my heart as an advisor for this year. And there's some great things going on with our program. We are starting a new project as of January of this year. I'm going away from greenhouses per family to a reforestation project that tries to incorporate permaculture. And our main goal is to address the big need in the Darien of deforestation and a lot of improper use of land that's really affecting the region as a whole. So what we're doing is trying to go into the two communities that we work in, both Indigenous Embera communities, specifically Embera Puru and Firiati Embera, and we're working with them to kind of steer away from the slash and burn agriculture that they're used to a new way of doing things called permaculture, which you guys will learn a lot more about when you come here. But again, for the other sustainable development sides, with human rights, working with the lawyers and giving access to a lot of these communities to lawyers and to knowledge about their legal rights and knowing what it is that they can get help with, whether it's a land issue or maybe not being paid back, or even simple things like divorce that they're not able to do without sufficient resources. And again, with business brigades, working with small businesses, whether it be things like a kiosk or maybe just consulting a family that wants to raise chickens and whether that's profitable for them. So again, all these things are just working on a different scale, and some of it is a bit less tangible, like the business brigades and the human rights brigades, and some things are hands-on projects like environmental. But we're all working to address the needs of these communities, and for Panama in particular with sustainable development, we've identified these three things as the most important, and hopefully you guys will be able to see that a little bit more and get to know our communities more in depth, besides just the two environmental ones I mentioned. Business works in quite a few, and human rights as well, in both Indigenous and Latino communities. So.
Perfect. Perfect. So guys, that's where we are with kind of an update with environmental brigades. And each week of those will be a different week of the Sustainable Development Internship. And so if we get on to the next slide, and Cole, thank you again for being the DJ here. We're going to go over where you're going to be staying. Basically, our accommodation is, I think the formatting got messed up again, because when you put in an enye or any accent marks, it didn't translate well in PowerPoint, so I apologize for that. But it's supposed to read in the first line, the lodging facility is Pro Niños de Darien, and Pro Niños is really a nonprofit that's been working in Darien since 1983. And they're a nonprofit that we look to mainly because they have the lodging facilities, but this is our home base. This is where we're going to stay for the month. And this is going to be your space to learn, to stretch, to do yoga, to do a run in the morning. They have a massive, massive amount of land, and they're an organic farm, and they also do a feeding program to under-resourced children in local area schools in the exact same communities where Global Brigades works. Where we run medical brigades, public health brigades, human rights brigades, etc., Pro Niños is also working in about, I'd say 75% of those communities. And they're most known for a feeding program, but because of their infrastructure, they've been around for a while, they've received a lot of government support and also a lot of donations. Pro Niños de Darien has a lot of lodging facilities. It's got 24-hour security. You're going to be staying in kind of a community living situation, which again requires a lot of flexibility, especially for a month. You're going to have bunk beds. We're going to have a lot of areas to go hiking around there, and to play sports. There's a field to play soccer. And so we find that place to be the most healthy in the sense of, physically and emotionally, and especially that you're going to be down here for a month looking for kind of some answers that each one of you will be seeking around international development or in global health terms. You want to make sure that your area where you're going to be working, and again, the first picture is just a sign, Fundación Pro Niños de Darien, and the second is a typical Panamanian bohío or hut. It almost looks like it's modeled after the Embera community. And so that type of structure as one of our meeting spaces and one of our breakout rooms, but it's also how a lot of our nearby communities that are in Barra build their homes. And Cole, that link at the bottom is a link of it's a Vimeo link to the lodging facilities that we have in Panama. I don't think we can click it as participants here, but Cole will be able to send this out after the webinar. It's a really good video where you can take a look at the different facilities. Or even, Cole, if you open a new tab, do you have any interest in playing that?
Welcome to Global Brigades Panama. Your journey begins at the airport, where our staff members will pick you up and accompany you on every aspect of the brigade throughout the week. From the airport, we will take the beautiful 3-hour drive along the Pan American Highway to Panama Este, where your compound is located for the rest of the brigade. Global Brigades Panama's compound is located at Fundación Pro Niños, a partner nonprofit that has been working in this part of Panama for decades. We've housed thousands of students in this location. Throughout the week, you'll have the opportunity to meet student leaders from other universities and other Global Brigades chapters around the world. Belinda and her staff wake up every morning at 4 a.m. to prepare meals that respect dietary restrictions and also any allergies you may have.
Hola, yo soy Belinda y aquí en la cocina de Pro Niños todos los días preparamos el lunch, desayuno para los estudiantes desde las 4 de la mañana.
After a long day in the field, when you return back to the compound, our sleeping arrangements range from camping in tents to sleeping in dormitory-style rooms. We look forward to seeing you at Panama.
Awesome. So you'll be able to see that video live come July. You guys will be down here and you'll have the opportunity to see what we're talking about. And if you need to show any donors or friends or family that video, again, I believe Cole is going to send it out to all of us after this call. So that brings us to the final slide before we take questions. This is a packing list. This is pretty straightforward. If you forget your passport, we're going to have some issues. But other than that, please just make sure that you pack light, but also pack knowing that you're going to be gone for a month and that you're going to be doing a lot of things that require a little bit of studying or a little bit of reading. I would highly recommend, we're actually going to have a required daily journal. So get yourself a good journal, something that you're going to want to write in, something that you're going to want to take down interview notes in, whether it be a staff member or a community member. Come with more than enough, just school supplies. I would just say a notebook and a pen is ample. If you're going to bring your laptop, that's something you could bring. And I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, what are we going to do for internet research? My initial reaction is just to say, we've got the internet back everywhere else you're going to be. This is maybe a small chance in your life when you're going to spend it amongst community members and amongst people that have dedicated their lives to working for a nonprofit. And that's going to be fascinating. Those are things that you're not going to find on the internet. And I would highly recommend that you soak in your ability to do have your research be individually based on interviews and that time that you have with other people. But sometimes you're going to probably need to look something up just for the sake of clarifying. And then what we're going to do is just have a ratio, maybe of 1 USB internet stick for every 7 or 8 internship participants. And again, the reason is that they're expensive and they do not yield very good internet. So I would say plan to do your research on materials that you bring down or on data informatics reports that we're able to give to you in person. But if your idea is to do internet-based research, that's something that works well for when you're around the internet. And what we're getting at is that this internship is going to be more people-based. This is going to be your opportunity to talk to professionals that work for nonprofits and for community members that are the beneficiaries of these projects, but equally have their own ideas to how their communities can develop. And you will not get those answers or those experiences online. And that's why I assume a lot of you are coming down to Panama. You're coming down to be here amongst that. You're coming down here to do the research and to talk to people, to do interviews. Think of yourself more as an ethnographist, somebody that's coming down here to take down accounts of how people are living and what they're doing. And then when you get home, you can soak up all the high-speed internet you want, but you're not going to have the ability to have those one-on-one conversations or group conversations. And so, again, if you're worried about the internet, don't worry. We're going to have a USB stick. It just needs to be shared among 7 other people. So I would highly recommend you use it for what you need, and then we pass it along. That's kind of going to be the system, and Gold Brigades is just going to provide you the sticks, and you as interns need to manage them, especially around sharing and especially around internet consumption, because the internet is not high speed, nor is it unlimited. You pay for consumption. And so if you're not sure what that's like, you can turn off the pictures of your browser. You can see how hard it is to use Facebook without pictures or with a limited amount of internet. And so that's kind of the point, is we want it to be used for the research, something that'll help you with either your thesis or an article that you think would support your understanding of a particular subject. But I would recommend anything that you need to do it now. Do it in your preparation between now and July. Watch the documentaries, watch the program videos, watch the stuff that Gold Brigades has put together. Keep your eye on kind of what to bring here. There's a couple of miscellaneous things. Bug protection is a concern. You can buy almost all of this at your local Eastern Mountain Sports or RAI, depending on which coast you live on. But I would say if you can't find it at an outdoor store, you can ask our staff if there's anything in country. But for the most part, you have what you need there. Again, maybe one of the more important items, if I had to highlight one, it would be a bug net, and then a flashlight. Those are things that we always forget to bring. And so other than that, if you want to bring your laptop because you're going to be typing, you can do that, or you can communicate with somebody prior to leaving and share a computer. And again, we're going to get mobile USB internet sticks that do not work that well because you're going to be in, Eastern Panama, and they don't have a lot of data on them because it's really expensive. So internet is going to be a emergency use only, and it's going to be up to each intern to kind of be the one that wants to moderate what their internet use is, because they're going to be sharing with about 7 other people. Highly recommend you've got a lot of pens and a lot of notebooks. What not to bring. Don't bring any booze, and don't bring anything you don't want to lose. So those rhyme so you remember them, and more than anything, don't bring down anything that you can leave behind in the community, you could forget on a bus, or you can lose at the airport, because your place is going to be 100% safe and secure, and our staff members are going to be around you there, but there's also a lot of opportunity for each participant to misplace something. And so I would highly recommend that you take care of the things that you bring down, and be careful what you have. And then the no alcohol policy stems from where you're going to be staying. It does have a heavy reliance and a history of working with the Catholic Church. Pro Niños de Darien is a Catholic foundation. And although Gold Brigades is secular and the work that we do doesn't involve religion, we rely on a lot of nonprofits in this area who do. And so they don't ask for anything from us other than to respect a couple of rules. And the first rule is to absolutely, under no circumstance, leave the compound, leave the area where we're staying. We respect that. And then, up there with our second request is going to be, please just don't bring alcohol. They don't let their staff members drink it there. And I also think it's a little tough to be doing the work that we do by day and then maybe have a dichotomy or create maybe a little bit of space or separation with our staff members there that don't drink. So if it's not invited, please respect the fact that we respect that on behalf of Pro Niños, so don't bring alcohol. That about does it. That is our presentation. We've got it done in 45 minutes here, and the idea was that Cole is going to field questions, and every person that's got a question or something that they can ask in an email form, please do so. But if you also just want to type your question or ask Cole something specific, that is what we're looking forward to, having you down for the summer internship. Again, July 6th to August 4th for sustainable development and global health participants. We couldn't be more excited as a staff and as a team to have you down here. and to support you in all the things that we've talked about this evening.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Alan. Does anyone have any questions that come up right now? Please feel free to type your questions or to raise your hand or hit the question button. And also, if you have something that you want to ask, but you don't want to ask it right now in front of the group, please feel free just to send me an email. And if I can answer it, I will. And if not, I'll forward it on to Alan and the Panama team. Sanchi, did you have a question? You've got your hand up right here. Alrighty, hopefully it was answered. Anyone else? All right, and again, this is going to be sent out to all of you. You'll get a chance to watch that great video again, and you will see the recording of this so you can revisit some of the things that we talked about. But really, just feel free to reach out to either me or Alan. We can answer a lot of your questions. Okay, John, what can we do for you? Hey, John, can you hear us?
John wants to know your email.
Alrighty. So my email is cole@globalbrigades.org. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time. Alan, I had one question that has been coming up with a lot of different interns, and it would be good to know what are the official immunizations that the students need to have in Panama, and what are the ones that you would recommend?
Awesome. The short answer for that is go to the Center for Disease Control website. It's CDC, and there's a breakdown of exactly what is recommended. From an organizational standpoint, we have got to follow those recommendations because we're not healthcare professionals. Many of us are aspiring, but for now, we rely on the website of the U.S. government. I know the most important one would absolutely be to have your yellow fever vaccination. Sometimes they ask for that. It's a card. You can get it done at any type of travel clinic or anything like that. A lot of people have questions about malaria, and the truth is that the area where we live in Panama does not have a lot of cases of reported malaria. But again, I'm reporting off of what we have for data informatics and what we see not only with us as temporary residents of Panama and the team that are living here together as staff members, but also with our community members. But I do not want to be the one that makes you don't have to have malaria prophylaxis, or you do have to have it either way. Again, please talk to your family, see what they're comfortable with. Talk to your healthcare provider, whether it's a doctor or pediatrician that you still keep in touch with. Anybody, and just ask them, hey, what do you recommend? And then I believe that Ariana just uploaded the Center for Disease Control. It's cdc.gov/travel, and then they've got some recommendations for Panama. And so I would just say that you should be okay with the yellow fever vaccination, but there's a lot of other things that are recommended, and I do not know each individual person's travel history. So if you've left the country before on a brigade and you've gone to Honduras, the odds are that you're covered. I would just double check to make sure if anything is a booster and needs around 2. And then the other thing you should